Past. Chapter 1. Voices in the Dark Rain had a way of making the city feel older, as if every drop washed away the pretense of the living and left only what lingered beneath. Tonight, it slicked the cracked cobblestones into a mirror of black glass, reflecting crooked alleyways and the faint glow of the gas lamps that lined the streets like sentries. The city never truly slept, but in the rain, it whispered more than it roared. Clara Valla moved like she belonged in the shadows, her boots making no more sound than the rain's soft patter. Her coat, worn soft with age and stitched at the elbows more times than she could count, clung to her shoulders as if it knew the weight she carried. She had been walking this city for over a decade, and yet, when the whisper started, she still felt that familiar chill crawl up her spine. They were here. A dozen ghostly murmurs threaded through the night, voices woven into the rainfall like invisible hands tugging at her ears. It's still here. Don't open the door. Run. Run. Clara slowed at the mouth of the alley, tilting her head slightly as if she could catch the exact angle of the sound. She could never explain it to anyone, how whispers didn't come from mouths or walls, but from the thin seam between worlds, from the places no living thing could reach. She exhaled, a slow, steady breath. Which is it? She murmured under her breath. Stay or go? The answer didn't come from the dead. Clack, clack, clack. The sound of bone against stone carried behind her, impossibly loud against the damp silence. Clara didn't need to look to know who it was. Apologies, ma'am, came the familiar, overly polite voice, tinged with a hollow rattle. These blasted cobblestones are particularly unruly tonight. Treacherous footing for a gentleman of my construction. Clara's lips twitched, though she fought to keep her face neutral. Mr. Bones, she hissed softly. Stealth. The animated skeleton froze mid-step. His slightly oversized tuxedo looked immaculate despite the drizzle, as though he just stepped out of a ballroom rather than a grave. The red bow tie sat crisp at his neck, though the monocle dangling from one empty socket gave him a perpetually frazzled look. His oversized leather backpack shifted with a loud clatter as he tried, unsuccessfully, to stand perfectly still. I am exceptionally stealthy, he whispered back with a wounded sort of dignity. It's not my fault my joints are enthusiastic. A femur slid halfway out of the side of his pack and hit the ground with a hollow tock. Clara pinched the bridge of her nose. Enthusiastic, right? Third femur this week, Mr. Bones muttered under his breath, scooping it up and cramming it back into the pack. Honestly, I really should start labeling these things. Arm, leg, dog, dinosaur, always a surprise. Clara crouched at the alley's end, letting the whispers wash over her in waves. They weren't words so much as intentions, weight pressing against her thoughts, desperate to be heard. The rotted wooden door ahead seemed to throb faintly with the echo of death. Someone died here, she murmured. Recently? Mr. Bones asked, tilting his skull. A drop of rain ran through his empty eye socket and out his jaw like a tear. Recently enough to still be screaming. The air felt heavy, not just with damp, but with the kind of silence that followed violence. Clara reached beneath her collar and drew out the thin silver key that rested on a chain against her skin. The pendant caught the dim light as she pressed it gently against the door. The whisper sharpened instantly, condensing into one pleading voice. Help me. Her jaw tightened. Stay behind me. Mr. Bones puffed up as much as a skeleton could. Perish the thought, ma'am. I'd throw myself between you and any danger. In fact, I'd give an arm and a leg. His left arm suddenly detached and hit the ground with a dull clack. He stared down at it, well, prepaid as it were. Despite herself, Clara smirked. She handed the arm back to him. Just keep yourself together. The door gave way with a groan, swinging inward to reveal a narrow stairwell yawning into the earth. The air that rose to meet her was cold and damp, thick with the residue of old lives and older deaths. The whispers thickened, no longer a background hum, but a suffocating chorus that pressed against her skull. Clara descended first, fingers trailing the cold stone wall. Mr. Bones followed, his backpack rattling with every careful step. Places like this never end well, he muttered. You know, in my day, if there was a screaming door, one simply walked away. Civilized, sensible. You didn't have a day, Clara said absently. There was a pause behind her, his voice quieter when it came. Fair enough, ma'am. At the bottom lay a small, windowless room. Overturned chairs sprawled like fallen soldiers, A shattered lamp lay in a pool of dark water. The air was thick with the unmistakable metallic tang of blood long dried. Clara's boots sank slightly into the carpet of dust, disturbed only recently. In the far corner, a shape shimmered, translucent, fractured, as if the air itself couldn't decide whether to hold it. A man, or what had been one, sat curled against the wall. His mouth moved soundlessly, his eyes wide with terror. Clara approached slowly, lowering to one knee. "I can hear you," she said softly. "Tell me what happened." The ghost's eyes shifted past her, widening further. His trembling hand rose, pointing, not at Clara, but at the figure behind her. Clara turned. Mr. Bones stood perfectly still, his usual clatter gone. His empty sockets were locked on the ghost, and for once the easy humor had drained from his voice. "What is it?" Clara asked. The ghost's voice broke through the static of whispers, sudden and desperate, clear enough to slice through the dark. "He remembers." The room went utterly still. Clara's pulse thudded in her ears. She looked back at Mr. Bones. For the first time since the night she met him, she saw something flicker across his expressionless skull. An impossible trace of fear.